lot of people don't know that you can actually increase your bench press without even doing any sort of bench press movement, not even an incline press. And this is very under talked about. So in this video, I'm going to cover the way that you can increase your bench press without doing bench press. And it's all down to this one special exercise. This exercise is also going to pack on tons of size in your chest, shoulders and triceps, and I really recommend that you start training it consistently. And the one exercise which is going to transform your 1 rep max bench strength is the weighted dip. When I started training weighted dips, I could only bench 1 rep max at 80 kilos. But now, after training weighted dips and not even training bench press, I was able to weighted dip 100 kilo, no, not weighted dip, to bench press 100 kilos. And you're probably going to think, well, why would you not just train bench? Weighted dip literally trains the exact same pushing muscles as the bench press. And whilst I do think you would see true benefits in your bench press if you just practice the form, because if you're really good at the form, say you use a really good leg drive and then you use like a good arching of your back on the bench, then you will inevitably be stronger. But another reason why I think you should do dips and weighted dips is just because it's so good for the mind-muscle connection. Your chest will be so pumped after you do weighted dips. By the way, if you can't already do weighted dips, then you can just do normal regular dips, or you can do assisted dips on the assisted dip machine. It's the exact same thing. My friend who just started the gym, he couldn't do any bodyweight dips in a row, but then he was able to do some weight on the assisted dip machine, maybe half the stack. And then he trained that. He did about 3 sets of about 10 or something like that to failure. And then by the next session, literally after 1 week of training, he was able to do a couple bodyweight dips. That is how quickly you can make progress, especially if you're a beginner. But just in general, if you do a new movement, then you will make progress in it so quickly. And it's the exact same thing with dips. You've probably trained a lot of incline presses in the past, but have you done dips? It's a completely different exercise, and especially when you switch to calisthenics training, it's a whole different niche of the gym which you can really explore, and you'll make progress so quickly. When I started training weighted calisthenics, on my pull-up I was adding a 2.5 kg every session, so every week I was going up 5 kg in my lifts and doing like 3 sets of 5 or something like that. And I truly believe that as your body gets more used to the movement of the weighted dip, you can literally add a 2.5 kg every session. I also just feel like if you want to get a bigger bench press, then everybody is just going to be training bench press. But if you take these tips and you just do weighted dips instead, I believe that you will outcompete most people who just do bench press. And whilst they might be better at the form, so that might give them a slight advantage on the bench press, I think just by raw strength, if you just progressively overload in the weighted dip in basically whatever rep range, as long as it's not too high, but then even then, if you just train weighted dips, then I would definitely also supplement weighted pull-ups into my training. And I'm going to give you a choice of 2 programs which you can follow to increase your weighted dip. So program 1 is that on your first set you get something around 7, 8 or 9 reps. So just either 7, 8 or 9, but obviously you go to failure. And then on your second set you get something like 10, 11 or 12. But the whole point is that you only do 2 sets, and they're very high intensity sets. You go all the way to failure. Or option 2 is that you do more lower reps, so you do maybe 2 or 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps, and you just progressively overload that way. The one annoying thing about weighted dips, which I will say, is that sometimes your shoulder is just cooked, and it's not very friendly on the shoulders though if you're lifting a lot of weight on the weighted dip. But if this ever happens, you're gonna have to probably skip weighted dips and then come back the day after, and your shoulder should be fine. I mean, from my experience anyway. You could just switch to bench press if you really want, but anyway, that pretty much summarizes the advice on how to get a bigger bench press without even training bench press. And it all just comes down to training weighted dips. I took my weighted dip all the way from, when I first started the gym, I could only do bodyweight dips, and then about 9 months after, when I tested my weighted dip, I got about 30 kg for 5 reps, and then I was able to increase that all the way to 70 kg for 4 reps is my best ever. And in the future I will achieve a 100 kg added weight dip, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep training calisthenics.